was a personal privilege for me, you know, to be with this group of people that we worked for this whole year. And I got, increasingly I was getting to know more about the United Nations during that time. But I'd have to figure out how I ended on the team. I can't remember right off the bat. But, and I traveled around the world a number of times to communicate with different people and so forth. And, you know, come back and report. And meanwhile, I was teaching all the while at Fordham because they didn't conflict at all. So anyway, and there were a couple of things I've written some of this up, and I can recall some of the details. When I was sent on one mission because we were building up for this big meeting at the United Nations, and I was sent on a trip to go to several places in the world to get their support. And I tell you, I have the highest degree I have the highest estimation of, well, I would say this too, that if you know the various, let's say, in the Catholic world, you know, the Pope has globally, the Pope has a very good reputation because it's very global. His world is global and so forth. And so I went to the Vatican to represent this plan, this initiative, as they say in this community, to have a meeting of religious leaders at the United Nations to celebrate the founding of the United Nations, I think it was. But I have this all written up in the piece over here. But it was very gripping and, you know, illuminating. And I just loved this kind of thing going on. So eventually, the way it was, the particular part of the program that I'm referring to now is that when the different countries were going to get together and make some explorations and so forth. And it was my task to introduce them that day and oversee the group, see. And Mother Teresa appeared in the United States that very day. And she was, or maybe a day or so before, and she was given an award in the South. I could track it down at the UN and find out what it was. But then my task was to introduce various people, sort of like 7 or 8 or 9 of the key people at the UN.
So what did you say about Mother Teresa?
I'll tell you.
Oh, all right.
Well, basically I said, it is with the, I can dredge up exactly what I said. It is my privilege or something. And I said something like, I stand in awe of her, see.
Yes.
And then she spoke. Oh, the people were just blown away by her.
I'm sure.
Oh my Lord. And they were the heads of state from all around the world and so forth there. And, but she is, you know, you could say, people say she's a saint and a public figure. And I think she's unique in modern history, from what I know. And there's a big presentation of this that Janet knows about, and we could get information on it, of the way the world has looked upon her. You know, I think this is just about the time of her death. I can't remember, but and we have this information right here. I mean, we can track it down, and it's like maybe 70 nations in the world were having a big presentation concerning her. And there is this interesting, it's her achievement and so forth, But it's also, I think, her energy. You know what I mean? I guess that this has been known throughout the history of the world, that certain people have spiritual energy.
Like Gandhi, for example.
Well, Gandhi is a good example,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
And I got to know the Gandhi family too, fortunately. You know, he was more... I know the last Maharaja of Kashmir rather well, Karan Singh.
Oh yes, you've mentioned him.
I've mentioned him,
Yes.
yeah. Karen. Oh, my Lord. We don't produce people like Karen, at least in our culture. But Karen is, you know, he's the most humanistic person I've ever met. I met his wife, too, a bit. But I didn't get to know her so well. But Karen was at a conference that I was engaged in. It was about, well, that's another story, but we met at this conference. And we had
For the first time?
For the first time,
Oh,
you know, well, that was a
okay.
number of years ago. But we were always, we don't keep in, we don't call and speak and so forth, but I think something clicked between us. And I was, of course, he's the last Maharaja of Kashmir. So,
Oh my goodness.
And Kashmir is, I had a wonderful invitation by him always to go to Kashmir, but we had to plan it, you know, and so forth. And I never got to do it.
No.
But I spent a lot of time with him. I mean, it would have been just fun to go to Kashmir because he also had his office in Delhi, and so, you know, there were ways of doing this. And there was as you can see, that I'm a compulsive conference attender. And through my life, if there wasn't a conference that I might like to go to, I would start one. I mean, this is literally true.
You would invite everybody.
Yes, they come to my party, you know, that kind of thing. But the people I met in this process are just stunning people. But certainly Karen is one who stands out way up at the top. But there was Mother Teresa. I mean, Mother Teresa, somebody.
Well, would you say their greatness comes from having that tribal consciousness already? That they were ahead of their times in having this consciousness in its fullness?
Oh, I think, yes, I think that when you say, what if you mean by tribal consciousness, that there is one tribe,
Yes.
and we are one community.
Working for humanity rather
well,
than
that's
for...
an interesting thing, because now what I think has happened, since, as I say, I think that the nation state was, I'm not against the nation state, but if I'm reading history properly, that I don't think there ever was a great nation state. And this is an overstatement. But there were individual groups and so forth. And then often half of the world did not know what was going on there. In quotes, the discovery of America. We didn't discover America.
It was already here.
It was here, and the Indians were here. I spent a lot of time with tribal, you know, and I got to know, I get a glimpse of what the tribal life is like, and I'm very impressed by it.
Would you say that tribal peoples already have a sense of tribal consciousness?
Oh, absolutely.
So they're way ahead of us. People we would call primitive actually have a more advanced consciousness.
Well, that's been my experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you say more?